2.0 from the Ashes, where the DVEVSLSH Explorers are taking on the Lasufre Hikers. And I'm Alanson Cruikshank, and here with me in the commentary booth is Cricket West Indies selector and former national Windward Islands combined campuses and colleges and West Indies opener Miles Bascom. Of course, in this competition, he's also the captain of the Fort Charlotte Strikers. Good afternoon, Miles.
Good afternoon, Alanson, and good afternoon to all viewers.
Yes, so we're about to bring you live action here, and in what should be an exciting fixture between two of the top teams in the tournament. I know Miles is probably in one corner because his team is second on the table right now, and a particular result may cause him to go to third, which he doesn't want to come in our place.
Yes, a win from the Lasufre Hikers can see them pushing the Fort Charlotte Strikers down one position to third, and certainly based on the way that the playoffs are set up this time around, that has its own effects in that third place and fourth place would play an eliminator. The loser of that game would be out of the tournament, and the winner would go on to play the loser between first and second place. So first and second place basically getting two bites of the cherry, two opportunities to get to the final.
So Otney Lewis will be bowling to Darren Graves. The two fielders out are deep square leg and a man at long on. The deep square leg looks like Dylan Douglas, and the long on is Bennington Stapleton. Ringfield on the offside. Man at slip as well. Captain Maloney at slip, so good attacking option. 5-4 field in favor of the offside. So here we go. Punch down to long on, quite full delivery. Punch there by Graves, and he's off the mark. Brings Pear on strike, Romano Pear. Graves has been quite slow in terms of his return so far for the tournament, but he got a good knock in the last game when he scored 48, and maybe that was a fillip that he needed to get him going. Driven straight to mid-off by Pear. So see that the length is quite a full one being bowled by Lewis. So he's off the mark now. Yes, but you look at that length, Miles, quite a full one being bowled by Lewis. What is he trying to achieve here in this first over?
I think Lewis would have done his homework. He realized that both these players prefer a little bit of length. They've been hitting the ball well through the mid-wicket area using a slug sweep.
This one is off the edge, and the man at short third goes after it. It's Bibi. He retrieves. Only one taken. So a repeat of what we had two deliveries ago. Pear turns this one down to the man at long on. So 4 without loss after 5 deliveries. This one is pulled in the gap, 4 runs. And that is a strength of Graves. He's very strong on the pull, very strong on the tucks of the hip and flicking to the leg side.
Yes, a poor delivery to close out the over. Really going into the strong area of Graves there. I figure he would have wanted to push that through maybe outside off stump. And he erred in his line and he was punished.
So 8 without loss after 1 over. Both teams will be satisfied with that start. It's not a runaway start, but the Explorers will be content with the fact that they still have all 10 wickets in hand, as we see Straw being given the second over. So that is something that we have not seen from the Lasufre Hikers. They have tended to use a lot of spinners in the first part of the innings. So Cameron Straw now being given an early over in the piece.
Well, they actually started with Straw. I think the first 2 games. In the very first game, he took a 3-wicket haul. I remember well because I was among the 3. But since then, he has been found out somewhat. He has, tried to employ a short length, probably forcing batsmen to hit the ball into the leg side. Beyond those 2 games, the other teams would have just sat back and pulled.
This time a fuller length, beaten outside the off stump as Pear looks to go down the ground. Yes, so he started off opening the bowling, but in the last 5 or 6 games, he has been bowling, well, the ones he has played, because I think he sat out 1 or 2. They have used him, introduced himself and Dean Brown around the 8th or 7th over of the innings after using their battery of spinners. This one is a full toss, and Pear will be very disappointed with that one. Not finding the gap, hitting it straight to the man at mid-off, no run conceded.
Yes, I see that there's a concerted effort here to bowl a lot fuller to Pear. He has been, especially rootless off the back foot, pulling ferociously.
This one is hit down the ground, but quick single taken by Pear, and he has to hurdle over the ball as the return comes in from Kamal O'Kane at mid-on. Reminds me that I have you in the commentary box when we were talking about your innings of 69 not out, and while we were on commentary, everyone was agreed and called in Dyton Butler that you were in the form of your life. And although you have played some of those shots before, you haven't played all of them in one innings prior. And I'll get back to you on that after this delivery. This one is wide, beats the keeper there, Salvan. Good stop by Bibi down on the boundary. Good diving stop there by him. It's actually full signal, but alright, so 5 wides conceded there. 4 for the runs and 1 for the extra. So they have now moved on to 14. So it's a good start by them. 1.3 overs. Picking it up here as Graves comes into strike again. This one is driven, but not timed. So another dot delivery. Reminds me, yes, you were speaking about your efforts in your 69 not out, and was saying that you're some of the best
persons who would have seen it here. I would not say it's my best. I have a few innings that would top that.
And that has gone for 6 overs squarely. That has gone a long way. And again, you mentioned the shortish approach, that short length approach by Straw, and he will be well advised, especially against Darren Graves, to change that approach. He's very strong on the pull.
Yes, Graves generally sits back. He's slow to go forward, so he's usually very quickly onto those shorter deliveries. So Straw has to make that adjustment quickly.
This one is in the gap, but Kane is very fleet of foot, gets around very quickly, keeps it to 1 run. And even though he had hit that previous one into the wind, it went well over the boundary. It actually went into the double-decker stand. So he will not be intimidated by the direction of the wind. He will be confident in his power to clear the boundary either side.
Yes, I have found that generally anything that goes in the direction of the double-decker stand, once it doesn't go excessively high, the effect of the wind is not so much. as opposed to when it goes in the direction of the big scoreboard, where there is no shade from the double-decker stand. Quite a few balls have held up in the wind in that direction.
All right, good observation, because the stand, of course, would help to divert some of the wind. So at the end of 2 overs, they are 21 without loss. The Derby Explorers, they'll be satisfied with the start so far, as Otney Lewis comes back for his second over. He continues from the backway end. He's bowling to Graves, angling in. I think the umpire was of the opinion that it was going down the leg side. Let's take a look. Yes. So with the angle, carrying down in that direction. Fuller one, flicked off the pads quite nicely. But good feeling there by Douglas, and a good flat return. So no opportunity for a second. 22 without loss. In the last few games, Pierre, as we'll come back to that after this delivery. So when it's driven in the gap, should get to the boundary, and it does. So 4 runs. I was about to say, in the last few games at Pierre, although he started very briskly at the beginning of the tournament, that his scoring has gone down a little bit, and he'll be looking to get himself back amongst the runs before they go into the playoffs.
Yes, just a period of adjustment as lines and lengths are changed to him.
This time he hits it emphatically over extra cover for 4. Majestic shot.
Yes, Pierre is a quality player. He definitely has shots all around the wicket, even though he favors the slug sweep and the pull shot, which have been very effective for him in the tournament so far. He definitely has the ability to hit the ball through the offside, as we see him show very competently there. The length, I think, is right. I think he would want to bowl straighter lines, wicket to wicket.
Better delivery, but not gathered cleanly by keeper Brown, Salvan Brown, and it goes all the way down to the boundary for 4 byes. Sloppy work so far by the hikers, and they need to lift themselves up from this position. It's not because you have chased over 120 in the last game. It's not something that you may be able to do every time.
I'm sure they recognize that the Explorers have by far a more organized bowling attack than what the Top and Breakers would have shown them yesterday.
So nicely by Pierre there, but straight to the man at square leg. As you mentioned, it has been a full length that has been bowled by Otney Lewis, but on some occasions during that over, he just gave a little bit of width and was dispatched by Pierre through the offside.
Yes, clear plans, and it's very clear that when it's full and straighter like that last delivery, Pierre is not full and outside off stump. He definitely has the class to put it away. If it's and outside off stump, it's pretty low risk because any chance of getting bowled at LBW.
After his outstanding batting performance in yesterday's game, but his bowling hasn't been going the way he would want it to, so he would want to make recompense in this game. 34 without loss after 3 overs, 6-3 offside field, only 3 men on the leg side, so he cannot err by going straight to Graves, who is also very strong on the onside, so needs to be disciplined there. And just a little bit too wide. Call wide there by umpire Abbott. 35 without loss after 3. Punch off the back foot. He'll get a single to mid-off. Brings Pierre back into strike. So Graves moves on to 15 off 9. Pierre is on 11 off 10 deliveries. Douglas so far has conceded 2 of his over. Smart batting there by Pair. He played that one with soft hands and was able to get the single. Wide delivery. So the pressure is on Douglas because he knows he cannot get too straight with the 6-3 offside field. And he's erring a bit too far outside the off stump and being called wide on a couple of occasions so far. Dot delivery. This time he's dragged to the onside. Excellent effort by Kamalo Kane, but he was defeated. And again, you see there, once he gets a little straight, because there are only 3 men on the onside, you know, it's easy pickings for Graves.
Correct. A bit straight and a bit full. Gave Graves, who took a big step to the offside as well, you know, to allow him to access that ball and get it into the gap.
Again, he tugs this to the onside. Looking for 2 initially, but Kane is very quick across the ground and has a strong throw. Keeps them to 1. 1 delivery remaining in the power play. It's 43 without loss. This one is wide and it was flat batted back to him by Pierre. So his over has gone for 9 runs. Some wides in there, but at the end of the power play, it's 43 without loss, Miles.
Yes, I think the Darkview Explorers would be very happy with that power play. Some very sensible batting, some calculated risks. Can't say anything too, you know, nothing extraordinarily risky. Just some good batting, good batsmanship. Picking off the singles that were. So a very good start here from the Darkview Explorers.
Deliveries and pairs on 12 of 12. And bowling for the Hikers so far. Otney Lewis, 2 overs, none for 17. Cameron Straw, solitary over, none for 13. And Douglas, solitary over, none for 9. And we see that OJ Matthews is coming into the bowling at the end of the power play. So the field can be spread. There are now 5 persons on the boundary. Deep square leg, deep mid wicket, long on, long off, man on the sweeper cover. And short third man, backward point, short extra cover, short fine leg. This one is pulled into the onside and it's a good catch by Benetton Stapleton. He didn't get all of it, it was turning away from him and there was Graves attempting to pull it over the boundary but was unsuccessful and he was dismissed.
Yes, and that one actually got some purchase off the wicket. So it went further away from him. He had to fetch it a bit, and in the process, losing some of that momentum through the shot and holding out at long on. That was some smart bowling by Matthews, actually attempting to turn the ball, and I think in the end that is what defeated Graves.
Yes, he got some turn, as we mentioned. Then the contact wasn't as pure as he would have wanted it to, as we see the replay. Yes, definitely, and also a bit of bounce off the wicket. And this is something that we're noticing on this track, that of all the 3 strips, that the spinners seem to get a lot of bounce off of this wicket, and it can be slow bounce at times, and that has defeated some of the horizontal bad shots.
Correct. A lot of what persons would term to be long hops have taken quite a few wickets on this particular track.
As the new batsman is Shaman Hooper comes to the crease, another left-hander, man who's having a good tournament with bat and ball thus far. This one is straighter, it didn't turn. Cramped Hooper a little bit for room as he went for the cut shot, no run. Looking to cut once more, and they take a single off this delivery. Overthrow, but well backed up by the fielders there. There's no extra conceded. So Hooper is off the mark. 1 off 2 deliveries. 44 for 1 in the middle of the 5th.
I know, given the form of Hooper, that they would have.
This one is pulled to the man at the mid-wicket boundary. Single taken. You were making a point, Miles?
Yes, I know, given the form of Hooper, that they would be happy to see him out in the middle with as much time as possible. But given the tone that the off spinner is getting, and the fact that Pay as a left hand is already at the wicket, I wonder if it was an opportunity to send a right hander.
Well, you do have a point, but something that the skipper James mentioned at the toss is that he said if it's not broke, he doesn't want to fix it. So he has gotten into a mold, and this is something that he wants to keep doing for the rest of the tournament. Will he be proven wrong today or later on in the tournament? It's yet to be seen. Slight delay here. Some adjustments being made to the field. This one beats him outside the off stump, and that one with the wind blowing across, it seemed to have a little curve back into the left-hander.
Yeah, very cleverly bowled by Matthews, a young player, but clearly showing some acumen here as an off-break bowler. Hooper sitting back on his back foot, his favorite cut shot is what he was looking for. That one was a little bit fuller and really caught him out of position. He probably should have been on his front foot for that one, and completing a very good over there.
Yeah, so OJ going for only 2 and taking a wicket off his first over. Much better start than he had in the last game when he went for 22 off his first over. As Douglas comes on. Brilliant feeling there. I was struck very firmly by Pierre, but there was Douglas making up the ground and cutting that one off. Slower outside the off stump this time, beaten. Good thinking. And this time Pierre turns it to the man at mid-wicket, OJ Matthews, who does the fielding. It's 45 for 1. 46 after 5.3 overs. Pierre is on 14 of 16. Quite slow start for him so far. Hooper 1 of 4. They don't want to get some momentum into the innings. Beaten outside the off stump again, attempting a cut shot. So good spell so far from Douglas today. Can he end it well with these last 2 deliveries? So when it's cut away to the man on the sweeper cover boundary, they get time for 1. And this is something that you notice from Dillon. He's going through his deliveries very quickly. So if he's on a roll, by the time the batsman is aware of it, he could have already bowled 3 or 4 deliveries without many runs. Single to end off his spell. So he has bowled 2 overs, none for 12 runs today. Gone at only 6 runs per over. So good spell for his side.
Yes, very good spell. The loss of the wicket there, just slowing the momentum of the Derby Explorers. New batsman will have to take some time to get in. Darren Graves was the one carrying the scoring, and Pear was really just turning it over for him to get the strike. So now somebody has to take the mantle and take the attack to the Super Hikers.
Okay, so OJ comes on to continue bowling from the Beckwith end. 1 over for 2 runs, 1 wicket so far. He'll be bowling to Pear, who needs to get his strike rate up. They have 4 overs remaining. Looking to pull this one. beaten again outside the off stump. And I think for Pear, it seems in the last 2 or 3 games, especially that last game when they had a very small score to chase, he went very slowly at the bowling, and I think he has lost a little bit of his batting rhythm. This one is off the inside edge. So, as we look at the replay. So good bowling here so far by O.J. Matthews. He's doing an excellent job for his team. 1.3 overs, 1 for 2. And just as you give him the raps as the commentator, invariably the player does something out of the ordinary. So he bowls a wide and 2 runs off that one. Miles, where do you see them getting from here? They are 50. The 50 that's just come up off 6.3 overs. After this delivery, you could let me know. And he's bowled him. Top delivery there by Matthews. Again, opting not to turn the ball when he's bowling to Hooper. So he is showing good sense and good skill as a bowler, because for the very strong onside player Graves, he was electing to turn the off break, and for Hooper, who he knows is very strong through the offside, he has elected to bowl straight ons.
Yes, some very skillful, smart bowling here. Hooper, I think, felt a little bit of the pressure that was really being built by Romano Pear, who is struggling to get the ball away. He is missing, eating up a lot of dot balls, a cardinal sin in this format of the game. As you mentioned, he would have lost some rhythm clearly. That slug sweep that worked so well for him in the first few games, he has not been able to make contact. Where they get from here depends very heavily on this man who has just walked to the wicket. He certainly has the ability. I think he still has the highest strike rate in the tournament. So he certainly has the ability to get them back on track to that 100 score that they were looking at coming out of the power play. So let's see how Matthews handles him.
So Matthews to Dean Brown. Driven, but he hasn't timed it. It's in the air, should be caught. Good catch by Sylvan Spencer. And that's another big wicket. That's a very important wicket. And Matthews is doing a remarkable job for his team here, the Lassifrey Hikers.
Yes, and this one, a bit of flight, a bit of turn, possibly even a bit of dip. And Dean Brown was through his shot. No extension into that shot either there from Dean, so he just succeeded in getting it a distance, a good distance up, but not enough distance over the ground.
Yeah, he got under it, but as you said before, he wasn't going through the ball with his momentum. If it were a quicker delivery, then he may still have been able to get it over the boundary, but OJ is not bowling quickly. He's looking to turn the ball on most occasions, except when he was bowling to Hooper. And so he's given the ball some time in the air, which is good to see from the young man, who now has 3 wickets for 4 runs, as he has 1 more delivery in his spell, as Captain Lyndon James is the new batsman. But he will not be on strike. Pear will be on strike as the batsman crossed while the ball was in the air. So you see Pear and James having a little discussion. What do you think that would be about, Miles?
Well, I would hope that they are probably thinking about a target, setting themselves a target, and how they should go about getting there. I think from here, they will want to get at least 80. They want to get at least 80. That would be around 10 runs over for the next 3 overs. So they will want to get at least that, especially given that they were on par for a score of 100 coming out of the power play. Absolutely.
So there's actually a substitution because Ansel Ashman is coming onto the field. Spence, after taking that catch, was looking at his hand, so he has gone off to get some treatment. Let's hope that he has not done himself any serious damage. Matthews for his last delivery. It's cut away for 4 behind square by pair. So he ends with 2 overs, 3 for 8, and that's a very good spell by the young man Miles.
Yes, indeed. I would say probably his only lapse in judgment would have been this last delivery. He's getting the ball to turn and bounce. So probably with the form that pair is in currently, probably that conventional off break might have been a better option. But giving pair some pace and, playoff pairs experience and ability, that's easy for him to just use the pace and guide that in the gap.
So 7 overs have gone. They are 54 for 3. Just shy of 8 runs and over is their run rate. They are 7.7 run. That's where they're going. They will want to maximize the remaining 18 deliveries. Firstly, to get to a target of 80 or 84 or so, 85. And then probably to see if they can get some bonus runs to get them closer to 100. As Benetton Stapleton is coming into the attack for the first time today to bowl the 8th over. He'll be bowling to James, who has not yet faced. Deep mid-wicket is out, and you have long on, long off, sweeper cover, third man, backward point, extra cover in the circle on the offside. Punched down the ground by James. So he's off the mark of his first delivery. Good length, good line, and that is something that Benetton Stapleton will be, they will be hoping, and he will also be hoping that he maintains that throughout his spell. We saw him starting yesterday going for only 3 runs in his first over, but his second over went for 22. After experimenting a lot in his second over. So the consistency is something that we want to see from him, and for his own sake and development as a player. Driven down to long off for a single. So they won't mind the singles, will the hikers, at this stage.
And you can see they're persisting with the plan to pair to bowl him fuller. Basically asking him to hit the ball down the ground.
So it's a free hit, and Cardinals in there by Stapleton. And Captain James, who has only faced 1 delivery, will be very welcoming of this free hit. The field can change, which is happening now because you have a different batsman on strike, right hand on strike. So everybody is up behind square on the off and on side. So I would think that this will be a slow delivery. As we see one person being pushed back now to the deep square leg boundary, Atticus Brown. So free hit, let's see how it goes. And he mistimes this one, looking to aim something mighty down the ground. So Stapleton will be relieved that has not gone for any runs.
Yes, it looks like it was a bit of a cutter. Pace off, it gripped the wicket a bit. A little bit of extra bounce out of the wicket as well, which we saw a few days ago when he took 4.
This time Lyndon goes down the wicket but misses the attempted shot down the ground. So 57 for 3. Stapleton will be content so far with his starts. 3 deliveries, 3 runs. Pressure firmly on the Davy Explorers. Appeal there for leg before, but seem to be pitching outside leg stump. So leg by conceded. So it has been a good over so far from Stapleton, Miles.
Yes, he has found a good length. I would say it's not short, it's not full. It requires you to really hold your shape as a batsman and really look at the ball coming out of the wicket. There's a bit of grip there which he's exploiting using his little cutters. So yeah, definitely a good start by Stapleton.
Let's see how he ends the over. 2 deliveries to go. And wide conceded down the leg side there. So second extra of the over. He already conceded a no ball. 7.4 overs have gone. They have 14 deliveries remaining. If they go at around 10 runs and over, they will get around 80 runs. This one is driven over extra cover. That's a very good shot. Good placement there by Pear. And that's a classy shot for 4.
Yes. So we mentioned that earlier. Full and straight at off stump is a little bit more limited than when he has some width, full with some width. And as shown there by that very classy shot over extra cover.
So he will hope that this gets him going into the last couple of overs. He's currently striking at just over 100 runs per 100 balls. Full toss, driven down the ground. Would have wanted more from that with Pear. But he only gets a single. So at the end of 8 overs, they are 64 for 3. They are looking maybe at a target in around the 85 or 90 mark, but they would want to get more than that. Because I think that around that era, the hikers will of course grab that with both hands. Not that it would be a foregone conclusion if they're chasing, but they will be happy to chase 90 as opposed to 110.
Definitely. The Explorers should, do their own little bit of reevaluation here. The wicket definitely gives some assistance. We see spin from Matthews. We see some grip and bounce from these cutters by Stapleton. So definitely, if you get to 80 or 90, 90 preferably, of course, you can build some pressure by using some spin, exploiting the conditions of the wicket. And we saw Douglas play a very good innings yesterday. I'm not sure how many slower balls he was able to hit away. So I do think that the Dartview Explorers have a more compact bowling lineup than South Point Breakers presented to the Hikers yesterday. But definitely the Hikers would feel very confident with anything less than 100 runs.
Yes, and there's also a possibility of 8 overs of spin from the Dartview Explorers. As Straw comes back into the attack. So 8 overs of spin. Remember, they have Shaman Hooper, Darren Graves, and their 2 main spinners in the middle overs, Seal Ron Williams and, of course, young Luke Wilson. So Straw, who bowled very well yesterday, he comes in to bowl the 9th. Good delivery around the Yorker length, wide of the off stump. And Pear was looking to hit that one more around mid-wicket. Could have gone through the offside in the extra cover region as he has done previously.
Or even straight.
This one now, he's too straight. That one now was a wrong off stump, and Pear is already waiting for something in that region, and he made good contact, getting that one over square leg easily for a stunning 6.
Yes, it was actually a fraction outside off stump by the time it got to Pear, who had already made that adjustment, took a step to the offside, allowing himself to access that one and hit it quite competently and firmly over the deep mid-wicket boundary.
Let's see how Straw responds. Full one, wide of off stump. Sloppy out there on a by mistake. The umpire hasn't called a dead ball or anything. He sees consulting there a little bit. He's on his earpiece and the call stands, so it's a bye. So it's a 5-4 offside field He'd be bowling to the right-hander for the first time in this innings.
Was there a signal there, Alanson? I don't recall seeing a signal for bye.
No, it didn't seem like if he signaled anything. So he may have concluded that there was bottom edge on that one. Now we have the... Okay, so it's confirmed that I was correct. So let's move to the next delivery after some deliveries left. And let's see how Straw goes to James. That one was a good line. So he bowled that one the back of length that he has been bowling, but it's quite straight. So harder to free the arms. So that was a good delivery there from him. 8 balls remaining, Miles.
Yes, that James is strong down the ground. So he was back on that hard length. Didn't rise much, and James was only able to tuck it into the leg side for 1.
This time he goes down the ground, but not sufficient contact to get it straight to the man at long off, who does the fielding. So they only get 1 run. So it's a good finish so far from Straw. Although he was struck for the 6, it's a good recovery.
Yes, looking a bit closer at the batsman now, he saw that early trigger movement from Pear moving across to the off stump, and he just delivers a bit wider, not giving Pear the ability to get it to the leg side, and he only was able to get it to long off.
This time should be caught by Sylvan, and yes, he's caught. So good bowling there by the young man, and he shows Captain James the way to the dressing room. Says this way, sir, in case you didn't remember. So good little banter there. We'll see how that works out for him later on in the game. 73 for 4, and after where they were at the power play, this is an excellent comeback by the Hikers in this innings so far. Just 1 over remaining there. 73 for 4, Miles.
Yes, and I think this is more like what Captain Maloney was expecting yesterday, based on the wicket. He thought that it would have been a difficult wicket to set a total, because it gets a little bit difficult as it slows down. And, in trying to go for a big score, our team can find themselves floundering and getting a subpar total. And I think this is exactly what he was hoping for when he asked the Dartview Explorers to bat first. And I'm pretty sure that he would be quite happy with the position of the Hikers at this moment.
So Cody Horn, the figure of Cody Horn, comes to the crease. Played for the Explorers in both editions so far, but was more of a regular, especially in the first edition. He gets his first game of edition 3.0. Young batsman, good technique. Not the power player, but very orthodox, quite stylish right-hander. He has 6 deliveries to make an impact here, and they will be bowled by Benetton Stapleton. Gets a leg by. Let's wait for the signal to see. Yes, umpire Abbott signals. So leg by to start the final over of the innings. A lot will depend on Pear for the remainder of this innings. How do you see him going from here, and what should be his plan to Benetton in this over, Miles?
I think Benetton will persist with that. Based on the change in field now, I think they're asking him to hit in that area of the big scoreboard that I mentioned when plays a factor.
So he's beaten outside the off stump. Good going so far by Benetton.
Yes, and Stapleton persisting with that outside off stump line, with third man in the circle and a backward point.
This time, and it's slightly misjudged there by Straw. He picked that one up off his pads. It was going straight to him at square leg. He stopped, thinking it was coming in his lap, but he has to remember that he is not really directly so much so in front of the stand. So the wind has affected that. It died on his way to him, and he wasn't able to take the catch.
Yes, but back on plan here from Stapleton. Full straight, asking the batsman to hit the ball down into that mid-wicket cow corner area where the wind plays such a huge factor.
This time he goes over cover, but straight to Otney Lewis, who takes the catch. It was an attempt to go all the way over cover, and he had the wind with him, but he was unable to get sufficient timing and power into that shot to clear the tall figure of Otney Lewis on the point boundary.
Yes, I would say good intent, but probably just fell a bit short on the execution. The ball was definitely there. I think he cleared the front leg probably a little bit too much. Wasn't able to get enough in the direction of where he wanted that ball to go. But the Lassupre Hikers definitely sticking to their plans here, and they would be very happy with the position of the game at the moment.
Definitely, I can't agree with you more as we see Ryan Williams come into the wicket. He'll be on strike. 2 deliveries remaining, and after their bowling spell yesterday, the 2 bowlers who went for consecutive 22-run overs have bowled very well today for the Hikers. And namely Stapleton and Matthews. This one is hit flat. Yeah, you wouldn't blame the fielder there for that one, Douglas, because it pitched just short of him and got a wicked bounce, and he went for 4. Doesn't look good on the replay. But if you have feel it in any of those positions, you kind of understand what happened there.
Yes, a puff of dust when that ball hit the outfield, and an awkward bounce for Dylan.
Big shot there attempted again by Ryan, and that's the end of the 10 overs. They have gotten to 81 for 5 from their 10 overs. Stapleton 1 for 17. Off his 2 overs after going for 22 in one of his overs yesterday, so good recovery by him. And young OJ Matthews, 2 overs, 1 for 8. So it's 81. How? What do you make of that type of score? And they would need 82. What do you make of that, Miles?
It's below par. It's below par, even though there is some assistance for the bowlers from the wicket. A bit of wear, some grip. It seems to be a little bit slow as well. But I wouldn't want to take too much away from the Lassupre Hikers bowlers. Young Matthews definitely bowled some quality off spin, some good sensible bowling by him, and Stapleton again summing up the conditions well, his cutters, using in terms of outside orders. 82 to get. I think the Lassupre Hikers would be happy with that.
Yes, and Graves made 20 of 13 deliveries. I think his wicket, if he had stayed there, it would have made a big difference to the total. He was out for 20 of 13 deliveries, caught Stapleton bowled Matthews. Intelligent bowling by the young man. Pair caught Lewis bowled Stapleton for 34 in that last over of 31 deliveries. Hooper bowled Matthews for 2 of 7. Brown caught Spencer bowled Matthews off his first delivery. James caught Spencer bowled Straw 3 of 6 deliveries. Cody Horn was not out without scoring, and Ryan Williams made 5 of 2 deliveries. And bowling for the Lassupre Hikers, as you said before, Miles, the standout bowler would be Matthews, as I allow you to go through that scorecard.
Yes, OJ Matthews picking up 3 wickets for 8 runs from his 2. The other wicket takers, Cameron Straw, 1 for 21. Benetton Stapleton, 1 for 17. Otney Lewis, who opened the bowling, was none for 17, and Dylan Douglas none for 12.
Yes, and the wickets fell at 43, 2 at 50, and 1 at 73, and 1 at 76. So they had a fairly good opening partnership, and at that stage, just around the power play, the end of the power play, they would have been thinking that they were on course to get something over 100, which on this particular track would be a good score. And they fell short in the end, getting to only 81 for 5. And when we come back, we'll have the response of the Lasso Frey Hikers, as I just go back to Miles for some comments.
Yes, what we see happening, it happened in both games. Very good scores coming out of the power play period. So while the ball is shiny and hard and new and slides on a bit, it's a little bit easier for stroke making. But as the ball gets older and it starts to grip the surface a little bit more, it becomes a little bit more difficult for batsmen. So what the Darkview Explorers would want to do here is to restrict the Hikers as much as possible in that power play. If they can get anything less than 35 or 36, anything in that area, I think they could definitely build some momentum from there as the wicket gets more difficult for stroke making, and potentially build some pressure and cause the Hikers to falter in their inning.
Yes, thank you very much, Miles, for that insight. And there you have it. It's type of pitch. It's a power play pitch, if you want to think of it that way at this stage. Well, the ball is hard and new. We can. And we'll be back shortly with the reply before of the Dream 11 VPL 3.0 from the Ashes.
Hear them show spirits high. Bring your vibes, bring your friends. Come out hard to defend it. From the ashes to the stadium. Rip me out. D10. From the ashes to the stadium. Rip me out. D10.
ITFX.
Be bold.
Be loud. Go live.
Anytime, anywhere.
Yes, good afternoon and welcome back to the Arnorsville playing field, where we'll see the Lasso Frey Hikers going after a target of 82 in their 10 overs. With me here is still Cricket West Indies selector, former opening batsman, well, still opening in this tournament, Miles Bascom, and he gave some insights into what he saw being reflected in the way that the pitch played. That it's a little bit easier to get at the bowling in the first 4 overs during the power play, And so the approach of the Dark View Explorer should be to restrict the hikers for as little as possible in the power play, and the hikers will be going hard in the power play for sure. Good afternoon again, Miles.
Yes, the only way to restrict in the power play is to take wickets. And it has been said about the hikers that if you can get into their batting beyond the top 3, you definitely have a better chance of getting them out for the score. But you have to get past those where most teams have been finding it difficult.
Yes, and we will expect from the Dark View Explorers a diet of spin being served to the Lassofray hikers, as Darren Graves will be opening the ball into Salvan Brown. 5-4 offside field, a man at slip is Romano Pair. There's a man a short third man, and that looks like Seal Ron Williams, and back on point is Shaman Hooper. Cody Horn is at extra cover. Jade Matthews at mid-off. There's a long on field. I'm trying to see who that is. Yes, that is Maxwell Edwards. And the deep mid-wicket is Dean Brown. Square leg in place as well, and a short fine leg as Darren Graves is about to bowl the first delivery. Square leg is Ryan Williams, and the short fine leg is Luke Wilson. Captain James is behind the wicket keeping, and Darren Graves is the bowler. He'll be bowling to Desmond Maloney. Change of plans. Salvan not taking first delivery. Defended quite orthodox manner to the man at extra cover. So Miles, I'll come to you because I know Darren will take very quickly. Well, he doesn't take much time between his deliveries, so I'll come to you shortly. This one is beaten outside the off stump, but you could start thinking of your response, because I'm going to pose a question now as to why you think that Captain Maloney has taken first strike in this innings. That was pretty quick, that one by Graves there outside the off stump. Medium pacer would have been glad with that speed. So 2 dot deliveries to start. Adjustment being made to the field, so it's going to be a 6-3 field now. 3 dot deliveries to start. Correction. This one is coming off the edge. It's running quite close to the boundary. 3 fielders are after it. Brilliant stop there by Seal Ron Williams. They will take 2 off the inside edge. So 2 runs conceded there. And you could say here some of the cheers of the supporters here at the ground. Yes, Miles, you could go ahead.
Yes, I think they are quite aware that the plan, as has often been for the Explorers, has been to bowl outside off stump.
Continue.
As that one. Brown has been missing that line, and Maloney favors himself probably a better cutter. Probably less likely to miss outside off stump, though it hasn't been the case for this over so far.
Okay, interesting feedback there. And that's the end of the over. 2 have come from the first over, and you could see the Dark View Explorers, they look up for it. The fielders look quite animated and enthusiastic moving around there. Miles, what do you think that they need to do in order to restrict the hikers here?
I think they're aware. You can judge from the way that they're moving around. They recognize the importance of the power play period. If they're able to build some pressure in this period, it could allow them to pick up a couple of wickets, which definitely would slow the momentum of the Lassofray hikers. So they have been, quite good exponents of that outside off stump line, asking the batsman to play cut shots and beat 2 fielders behind point usually.
So this one is short by Hooper. It's pulled in the gap, but Seal Ron Williams will do the fielding. Keeps it to 1. Good movement to the ball there. Yes, Miles. So Salvan, he's actually taken 1 off his first delivery, and Desron is 2 off 6. Not called wide there by the umpire.
Very fortunate, I would say.
Yes, he made a step across the wicket there, but I think that one was still wide enough, even in spite of the step, to have been adjudged as a wide delivery.
I agree.
So quick single taken. And this will be important for them in the first few overs. Get the blood flowing, take the singles, get into the innings, not try to lose too many wickets, and then see how much they could make up for it maybe in the last over of the power play or even over number 3. This one is hit inside out, catch. And that's taken by Graves. Well judged catch. Another wicket for Shaman Hooper, who continues to put his name up into contention so far for the man of the tournament with runs and wickets.
Yes, and as if by design, sticking to the plan, and the plan working for them here. Short outside off stump, asking Salvan to hit the ball over the offside as opposed to his favoured leg side, and getting a top edge there and competently caught inside the circle, although for a little while it looked as though we were going to get a collision.
This is not particularly loud here, so I think the fielder should have heard the call for whoever was taking the catch. In the end, Graves took the catch, and I don't think any of them would want to collide with Graves. Cody and a few others were nearby, and Maxwell Edwards, but Graves is a big man. This one is on the pad, no runs. As Dylan Douglas comes out to join his captain, 4 for 1 in the second over. And the Derby Explorers are buzzing on the field.
Yes, they would be very aware that one more wicket here and they definitely have a game on their hands.
This one, he goes to the big hit down the ground. I mean, it was over the long on era, and that one came off the inside edge, narrowly missing the stump as the over comes to an end. So 5 for 1 after 2 overs. Excellent start so far by the Derby Explorers.
Yes, walking to their plan, being quite effective for them thus far, and moving around quickly. You could see the intention is to get in as many overs as they can while they have this momentum. Keep the pressure building on the hikers.
So this one is cut by Captain Maloney. Couldn't find a gap there. Fielded nicely by Ron Williams as Graves continues to be miserly. So Maloney, he's on 4 of 11. Again, he's mistiming that one. Pressure building up here, Miles.
Yes, you see keeper James Captain running back to his mark. As I said, trying to get in as many deliveries while they have the momentum with them. Graves being very smart here in terms of varying his pace, but he's very consistent with his lines and length.
Not a dot delivery, so that length seems to be working against Maloney, and so far he hasn't been willing to try anything out of the ordinary. Cutting that one again. Hooper intercepting it. He's quite fleet-footed.
Yeah, so it's two propositions. The first proposition is to make contact, and the second one is to beat the ring. So far, no one has been able to get 2 out of 2. That occasion, Maloney making good contact, but not being able to beat the fielder at point.
This time he gets the gap, and although Jade Matthews is quite quick, he wasn't able to overhaul that one. So Maloney will be a little bit relieved after that shot. Takes him to 8.
Yes, a bit shorter from Graves, giving Maloney enough time to look at that ball come out of the wicket and pick his gap. Hit it well in front square, actually between straight cover and mid-off.
This time he goes to mid-wicket, where he's caught by Dean Brown. So after throwing up some deliveries, you would say that is a massive wicket to get the captain in the hut. And they are still, well, I think the Derby Explorers now will be thinking that they are well into it. But these two, Douglas and Lewis, are the ones who put on that important partnership yesterday to get them across the line, and they have been in good form with both of them.
Yes, the difference here is that I think this wicket a little bit slower. I think this bowling attack is a lot more disciplined, and they have clear plans, and it will be interesting to see how Douglas goes about this chase. Yesterday he didn't have a choice. It was 12 runs are over, 12 or more, more than 12, upwards of 12 required from the start. So he had to just come and go from ball 1. But this score may require a little bit more batsmanship from him, some smart singles, and very good shot selection.
Absolutely. As we see, Hooper, he continues from the now defunct Arnesville Airport, and he slug swept this first delivery forward of square on the onside, Douglas, for 4. Terrific shot.
Yes, and that was a shade outside off stump. Not short necessarily by any means, but very quick hands. He got across early, he picked his gap, and Douglas is off.
So that answers your question as to how he's going to approach his innings. That one has gone a long way over long on. It's onto the roof of the Sir Philip Vera stand. That's a big 6 here at the Arnesville playing field. Massive shot.
Again, taken from just outside off stump. A bit fuller this time. Good adjustment by Douglas. Again, picked his spot. And his spot was a long way behind the rope.
Yes. Indeed, it was a long way behind the rope. It almost went as far as the one you hit a few days ago against Asif. But that one, it also had a lot of height. So he got under that, he bent the back leg and showed that he got it to clear the field. And he cleared it by quite a few yards. So what would be the response of Shaman Hooper? He's been struck for 2 boundaries, 1-6, 1-4. Yes, and of course he tries to take away the arm of the batsman by going wide, but on that occasion, too wide, 20 for 2 after 3.2. Punching off the back foot this time was Douglas. Not able to get the gap on the offside. So an adjustment in the length, a little bit shorter and a little bit further outside off stump by Hooper.
And quite a bit slower as well.
So he's now bowling to a 6-3 field, offside bias, and a wide delivery, but it's swatted down to long on by Douglas, fielded there by Ceylon Williams, so single to him. And I think that's a good result for Hooper. You wouldn't mind bowling the rest of his over to Anthony Lewis. who has not faced the delivery so far.
Lewis has shown his competence with the bat as well, so he would.
This time he tucks it on the onside. Smart batting, good single. So 22 for 2. One delivery left in the power play.
Yeah, smart batting by Lewis. Taking a single, getting Douglas with striking the ball well back on strike for the final delivery of the power play.
This one is off the bottom edge. It will run close to the boundary. Luke Wilson is after it. He pulls it back now. And the batsman have time for 2 runs. So 2 runs added. So it's 24 for 2 after the power play. And that's the start that they have gotten so far, the Hikers. How is it setting up so far for you, Miles?
Definitely, the DVEVSLSH Explorers will be happy with this power play period. Being able to restrict them at below the required run rate while the fielding restrictions are on. Definitely not an easy proposition, but they accomplished it, and they would be quite satisfied with this result. The job by no means is over. With Douglas still at the wicket, striking it well, young Luke Wilson will have his hands full here.
So he's been introduced to the bowling, but we saw Salvan Brown. He went for 1 of 2 deliveries, caught Graves, bowl Hooper. Maloney was caught Brown, bowl Graves for 8 of 16 deliveries. So he showed up some deliveries there, skipper Maloney. And Douglas is on 13 of 5 deliveries. Otney Lewis is 1 of 1 delivery. And bowling for the DVEVSLSH Explorers so far as the power play has been completed. Darren Graves, he bowled 2 overs, 1 for 6. And Shamon Hooper has bowled 2 overs, 1 for 18. Struck for some blows there by Douglas in his last over. Wickets fell at 4 and at 9 respectively. So Luke Wilson, he comes on to bowl here now, to the challenge of bowling to Otney Lewis and also in particular Dylan Douglas. A good length, a good line around the top of off stump. So not a bad start from the young man.
Doesn't seem to be trying to turn it a lot either. That one basically went on with the arm.
Yes, he's definitely not trying to turn it that much. That one was cut away. 2 runs being attempted but sent back. And they finally will get 2 runs now as the throw wasn't gathered by keeper James. At the same stage, the DVEVSLSH Explorers were 43 for 1. So they were off to a very good start.
Yes, the Explorers must take heart from this position. They were able to get off to a very good start in their power play, but not able to maintain that momentum throughout the inning. So now that they are able to restrict the Hikers in their power play, they have to fancy themselves able to restrict them.
And we wait for the signal. Yes, wide call by umpire Davis. Go ahead, Miles.
Yeah, so they have to be able to fancy themselves to restrict them with 5 fielders out on the boundary.
Totally mistimed that one. Not going to get anywhere near the fielders on the boundary, nor near to the bowler who was looking to get a cotton ball chance. So 28 for 2. Lewis is on 4 of 4. Douglas is on 13 of 5 as we see the replay here. He was looking for something big over the mid-wicket wide lock-on era. A very vociferous and enthusiastic appeal by wicketkeeper Lyndon James, not upheld by the umpire. And Dylan Douglas is looking at him in a bemused way. as we have a look at the replay. Well, after this delivery, we'll have a look at that again. This one is 6 runs, straight down the ground. And no questions asked. That was a little too full from Luke.
Yes, full and wide. Giving Dillon the arms that he needed to hit through the ball.
Yes, so that one was struck for 6. If we could have the replay of the appeal for caught behind. Let's look at it slowly. Did it come back up on the arm or did it strike him below the glove?
Can't tell.
Can't tell from that, we obscured a little bit. This one is pulled in the gap for 4. And that's the impact of Douglas. One of the things that you recognize from him, that he finds the gap very often when he's executing shots. And that's a very important hallmark of a good player.
Yes, so the first delivery, a bit full and wide, giving Douglas the first boundary. Douglas dispatched over, back over the bowler's head for 6. And this one attempted to take some pace off of it and actually turn it. And Douglas was able to keep his composure, adjust well, and find the gap at deep square leg.
So that's the end of the 5th over, 38 for 2, as we're back here at the Allen'sville playing field. And we have a change in the bowling. Ryan Williams will be introduced to the attack, again a little bit earlier than we saw him in some of the previous games, where he has been finishing off the innings, sometimes bowling 1 over and that being the 10th only in some of the games that we have seen recently from the Derby Explorers. He'll be bowling to Otney Lewis. The men out, third man on the sweeper cover boundary, long off, long on, and a deep mid wicket. Williams to Lewis. And he goes for that defensive line, that defensive length as well. Yorker wide of the off stump. And he was successful in executing it there. Good delivery. So a little chat between both batsmen. I think Douglas is saying, take a single and get me on strike.
I think he might have suggested a change of guard, looking at that line that Williams is intended to bowl.
Again, another good wide Yorker there. Well, this one not as wide as the previous one, passing between bat and pad. Also, Lewis is a very tall man, so not as easy for him to get down to the Yorker length as some shorter batsmen.
This is very good execution from Williams in these 2 balls so far.
This time he goes for 4. That one was he missed the length. It was too full, and Lewis was able to just swing that one through the mid wicket area for 4.
Yes, I have seen captains and bowlers try to exploit this outside off stump line. I always wonder why 2 fielders behind square on the leg side as opposed to somebody at mid wicket in the area where that one travelled along the ground.
This one is in the gap. It's off the inner half of the bat. Quite fortuitous. It was a good length. Coming off the inside edge, but the inside edges of the bats are quite big these days, and that one went away to the boundary for 4.
And just as I spoke, that ball bisected both fielders behind square on the leg side. That was taken from just about middle and off. As Allenson mentioned, the inside half of the bat, and that one raced away to the boundary.
Reminds you, you're captain in this competition, and I'll get to you soon with a question as to how you approach defending the remainder of these runs if you are in the field. And that has been murdered over wide long on for 6. That was some contact there made by Lewis. He got that one out of the middle. He has been hitting half hits for 6 in this competition, and we always know when he gets one out of the middle, it will go an extremely long way.
Yes, that was definitely a full hit, all the way over the Michael Finley Pavilion. Williams giving him the length that he needed to get under that one, get his arms through it, and he certainly hit that one a long way.
Yes, and that one was in the arc and it went out the park. Literally. And 52 for 2. Those blows have brought them now, within touching distance of the score. Actually, they just need 30 runs now from 4.1 overs, 25 deliveries.
Yes, and that is the challenge of a subpar total. One good partnership and the batting team, can stroll to the target. But I don't think this one is over by any means. I'm sure that Skipper James would think that if he can pick up a wicket here, particularly the wicket of Douglas, and force Lewis to do the bulk of the hitting, I would feel that they would think they still have a chance in this game.
So Williams to Lewis. Let's see how he goes for this last delivery of his over. That is where he really should have been. And he's left that one outside the off stump. So 52 for 2 after 6. 30 needed from 4 overs from 24 deliveries.
Yeah, so just above, scoring at just above the required rate. I think the hikers would feel as though they have brought themselves back on the path to victory here. They would still want to see Douglas continue to strike them as well as he has been doing and get them there quite comfortably. The Explorers, on the other hand, would hope that Dean Brown, who is being introduced to the attack now, is able to do something magical. Hopefully dislodge the wicket of Dylan Douglas. I think they would take either wicket at this point, Alanson.
Absolutely. As I mentioned when these two started their partnership, is that they have been the form players for this team so far in the last few games, even though they were on a bit of a losing streak before their last game yesterday. These two have been among the runs. So it's a 5-4 feed off, long on, deep mid wicket. Man at point, man at extra cover, sweeper cover on the winner, and keeper down the wicket to Dean here. Short fine leg also being moved a bit finer. And he's out. Douglas has been out caught behind. Good delivery there from Dean Brown and an excellent take by keeper James behind the wicket. Let's have a look at the replay.
Yes, wicketkeeper reacting instantly. The rest of the close fielders also went up. That is usually a good indication that there was at least a sound, if not a nick. And Dean Brown working some magic here, Alanson?
Yes, I could actually see it from the front on that it actually bounced a little bit off the top edge. So it was an edge. And looking at Douglas's response, I don't think if he had known that he had a knit that he would have been too happy walking out. But he seemed to, if you look at the replay here, let's look at it as it bounces. Yes, seems to just go off the top edge there, Miles.
Yeah, seems to have been a deflection there and a very good take by wicketkeeper James up to the wicket, and the Explorers must feel as though they're back in.
It brings Benetton Stapleton to the wicket, who I think in this VPL owes his team some runs. It's actually Atticus Brown, so a promotion for Brown, who's an experienced top order batsman. First knock for him so far in the competition, beaten outside the off stump there by Dean Brown.
Yes, Dean Brown is one who thrives on energy, and right now he will be pumped.
Very good shot there by Atticus. And it's a good feeling there by Jade. He kept it in, restricting the batsman to 2 runs. And excellent feeling there by Jade Matthews. Will that come back later on in the to be the difference in the
Yeah, good effort. It was well timed by opener. Very talented.
Excellent shot there by Brown. That is class. He just opened the face, allowed that one to roll off the face down to third man for 4. Smart batting.
Yes, a deft touch. One of those shots that he is known for. Very good hands. Very steady at the wicket and well played. Good thinking as well. Realizing that the third man was quite wide, and he was able to get that one using the pace and run it past the wicket keeper.
This one is cut away. Would have been an excellent catch by the man at point, but it's gone for 4. And in 3 deliveries, Atticus Brown has knocked some of the wind out of the sails of the Explorers, as they were just pumped after having taken the very important wicket of Douglas.
Yes. So the hikers here making sure that that wicket of Douglas does not slow their momentum at all.
Shot by Atticus Brown in the gap behind square on the onside. 4 runs. Splendid. And this is actually played into Atticus' hands as an opening batsman. He would prefer to start against the pace. And Dean Brown is coming onto the bat nicely for him here, and he's gotten off to a very quick start.
Yeah, some very good cricket shot. Started with a lovely press straight down the wicket. A good bit of feeling kept that one from getting to the ropes. But a nice deft and a very well executed pull shot placed between the 2 fielders inside the circle behind square. And Atticus Brown is on his way to guiding his team home.
Yeah, so he's on 14 off 5. They need 16 of 18 deliveries. So they require less than 6 runs and over. They actually require 5.33 runs and over, if my maths serve me correctly. So from this position, and with the introduction of the leg spinner, young Ceylon Williams, he has to do something remarkable here to keep his team in contention. Good delivery there by Williams, quite full, good length. Unable to get under it was Lewis. It's a good cricket all around. Smart bowling there by Williams. That one turning away from the bat outside off stump. So 2 dot deliveries. They now require 16 off 16, so 6 runs per over needed. And this time he goes just a little too full into the arc of Lewis, who is a very tall man, and he gets through the line of delivery very easily with his long levers.
Yes, this one, Williams just bowled out the front of the arm. I'm not trying to impart much spin. and basically bowling right into the zone of Lewis. I think he would be better off trying to spin the ball.
I agree with you. He's trying to bowl his quicker delivery. He's almost a type of flip out of the front of the arm. And, you know, at this stage, if he bowls a leg break, I'm pretty sure that he'll be able to defeat the batsman. So what to try at least. That one was a leg break, but it was way too short, and it has been pulled for 6 runs over square leg. As we have a look at the replay, that one was a leg break, but too short there, Miles.
Yes, it sat up, and Anthony Lewis gave it the treatment it required.
And as we were mentioning so far on this wicket, when you bowl spin, when you pitch short on this particular track, it stops in the wicket and just sits up there for the horizontal bat shot. This one is hit down to long on for a single. So they now need 2 of 13 deliveries. And based on what we see here, this may not necessarily be the news that Miles Bascom wanted at the end of today. But it seems as if he'll be finishing in 3rd place. Unless something miraculous happens now. And Atticus has ensured that the game finishes within 8 overs, and he has played a destructive innings, something that you think might be uncharacteristic from him, but it shows that you could play orthodox cricket and score quite quickly. Nice shot there, lifted over short, fine leg, 4 runs, and that's the game.
Yes, not the result that I would have preferred, but the 4 Charlotte strikers will do whatever we have to do to get to where we need to get to.
All right, I like the sound of that. And I'm sure those who are your fans are also liking the sound of that, as it means that these 2 teams would finish in 1st and 2nd position. And it means as well that they will be playing, that these 2 teams will be playing on Friday in the 1st and 2nd place match, and the 4 Charlotte Strikers will be taking on the Salpan Breakers on Friday in eliminator number 1.
Yes, the Lassifrey Hikers will be quite happy with this result. Coming back from a few defeats to work themselves back into the 2nd position and basically get 2 bites of the cherry in terms of getting to the final. But even more than that, having lost Salvan Brown and Desmond Maloney, as well as Dylan Douglas before the job was done, they saw Otney Lewis and Atticus Brown in his 1st knock for the season, guiding the team home quite competently and confidently, dismissing some of those thoughts about the top 3 being, you know, the only person able to win the game with the bat. So definitely some good momentum for them going into the business end of the tournament. The Explorers would know that they did not get enough runs. Having a start of 43 out of the power play, they would have been very disappointed to end up with only 80. Which means that they scored more runs in the first 4 overs. They would know that they have some work to do. Pear, though he top scored, he wouldn't be satisfied with 34 from 31 deliveries. So he would want to get back to the form that he showed in the first few games of the tournament. And Graves would want to continue to work his way up to a score upwards of 30 or 40 or 50 to really feel confident going into the finals.
Yes, and the DVEVSLSH Explorers having lost today, they still have a very good net run rate, and they are likely to finish top of the table. So as we do our calculations here, to let you know how the table ends off, so that when you come on, before you get ready for Friday, that you'll know how things of the tournament. So the Lassifrey Hikers have won by 7 wickets. They have taken only 8 overs to overhaul the total. And when we'll take a short break. And when we come back to you, we'll wrap things up and probably do a little preview as we go into the next stage of the tournament.
ITFX. Be bold.
Be loud. Go live.
Anytime, anywhere.